With Damian having been taken by the Memento killer, it will be up to his father Batman to unravel a trail of clues and find his partner. But will the Dark Knight even be able to trust his own deteriorating mind? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman and Robin issue number 20 and find out together, shall we? So then, if you've been following my series of videos on this book, you'll know I'm not exactly a huge fan, and yet for whatever reason I just cannot seem to put it down, so you can imagine my surprise when I cracked open this newest issue only to see them completely flip the script when it comes to art. Basically, this entire issue goes for a whole mixed media style, starting with a series of lovingly rendered pencil sketches directly from the personal journal of Dr. Thomas Wayne. You'll of course remember that Damian has been reading this thing non-stop, and it was a major deciding factor as to why he wanted to follow in his grandfather's footsteps when it came to medicine. In this issue, we actually get treated to a little excerpt of a very formative day in Thomas's life as a parent, basically the first day he ever let his son Bruce down. Essentially, Bruce had learned to make paper boats at school, and father and son were supposed to go racing them together on the weekend. The only problem is Thomas got busy either at the hospital or on some other work call. Eventually, Dr. Thomas found the paper boats in the waste bin, and when he talked to Bruce about it, he didn't really give him a straight answer. This was the first day that Thomas really felt like he failed as a parent. And who exactly did Thomas choose to talk to about this? Well, you won't be shocked to discover it was none other than Alfred. Yeah, even back then it seems that the kindly old butler was always able to read Bruce's moods better than his parents. Alfred told Thomas not to beat himself up too much, that most rich guys wouldn't even care this much about their child's feelings. But the fact that he does only further cements to Alfred that Bruce will end up growing into a good, well-rounded human being. Now it's after that we smash cut to Batman in the present, who is now desperately searching Gotham City looking for his son Damian after he was taken by the Memento killer at the end of the previous issue. Also, Dr. Bashir is dead, which certainly helps cross him off the old list of suspects, wouldn't you agree? It's also only around here, once the rest of the Bat family ends up getting called in, does everyone start to realize the horrible effects Gravedigger's Poppy is having on Batman's mind right now. He's positively tripping balls, losing time, and he can't help but keep showing up at places throughout Gotham City that played host to horrible, grisly tragedies, either being it tenement fires or public hangings of pox criminals. Again, this is all somehow connected to the Memento killer's MO, but Batman still can't seem to riddle that out one way or another. Eventually, the Dark Knight stumbles his way back to the brand new Pennyworth Manor, wherein he hopes looking through Damian's things will ultimately reveal some unseen clues. After all, Bruce basically challenged Damian to solve this case on his own, and it's only now when his son is gone does Batman finally seem to realize what a raging a-hole he's been throughout this story, and how his jealousy and mental state really only pushed his son harder into the waiting arms of the much more sympathetic Bashir. It's also around here the comic remembers that Damian is something of an artist, who in his free time has decided to create his own comic book. Yeah, I know in the Williamson era he was a fan of manga, but I guess he changed art styles. Oh sure, maybe you won't make near as much money as a traditional comic book artist, but also maybe you won't work yourself to death like most mangaka do either. Now, the book Damian wrote was called The Adventures of Robin, and it's basically a somewhat fictionalized retelling of his own life. Well, actually, it's not really fictional at all, it's just Damian kind of writing down how he feels about working with his father, how he always respected Batman's strength and fortitude, but also his ability to always keep charging through. Not just dealing with today's threats, but tomorrow's threats too. Robin, on the other hand, always felt that he always sailed through the air and was at his best when he was being agile. For every moment his feet were on the ground, he would start to feel his own shadow, his sins of past, his relationship to the League of Assassins, and all the wrong he had done before. And after losing that little girl at Sacred Heart, poor Damian feels like his shadow is becoming way too much to handle these days. So much to the point he would do anything to try and change his own story, even escape into another story, and once again we completely change the artistic medium again, as now Damian jumps into the idealized pages of Thomas Wayne's journal, as we are now treated to a more storybook kind of look. Here Damian talks about his respect for his grandfather and how awed he is at the idea that even regular people can be heroes too. This is why he actually respected Dr. Bashir, seeing so much of himself in the man. Because, get this, as Dr. Thomas's medical student, Bashir was basically Robin to his Batman. It's through this part of the story Damian dreamed about a life that he could have beyond Robin and beyond being a superhero. superhero, but still at the same time the horrors of the Memento killer still weigh heavily on the young man's mind, so much to the point that he couldn't imagine a Gotham City without Batman and Robin. But maybe there is another way too. Damian also talks about how much he enjoyed working alongside Detective Lorik, how he felt so much more respected and like he didn't have a parent always hovering over him, that they were real partners. Also, given the fact that Lorik knew Bruce when he wasn't that much older than Damian, the young Robin also imagines a scenario wherein he could have been partners with his father at that age. Maybe if they were, they would have been able to crack this Memento case a long time ago. And hey, speaking of Memento, it was because of Lorik Damian had a chance to look at Dr. Blythe's old files. Remember, Blythe was actually arrested for the Memento killer's crimes back in England. Though after reading the files himself, Damian has come to the conclusion that Blythe couldn't possibly be the Memento killer. These aren't the notes that would have been taken by a serial killer hiding in plain sight. They're just the works of a dedicated detective, but still, the more Damian digs into these Memento crimes, the less they actually make sense, so much to the point he's come to the conclusion that Memento could only be a magical being. And it's after that we end up snapping back to reality as Batman finishes the book, only to be met by another horrifying Gravedigger's Poppy illusion, in this case Alfred himself, who passes on more cryptic wisdom from beyond the grave, saying that Damian is so much like his father Batman that he almost certainly keeps his own casebook, and that if Batman reads it, surely it will bring him to Robin once again. Wait, you mean reading all that stuff before wasn't Robin's own casebook? He just happened to write and draw a bunch of stuff he was feeling about the investigation, but didn't actually leave any actionable clues in it? Damn, I guess Damian still has a long way to go before he joins the comic industry, am I right? And so that was Batman and Robin issue number 20, everybody, and oh man, I have been conflicted a lot about this series since it started, but no more so than this issue right here. On one hand, it does very little to actually move forward the bigger Memento mystery, mostly just rehashing stuff you would already know if you've been paying attention. And yet, on the other hand, I am just a little bit awed on what a beautiful mixed media art piece this issue ended up being. We got 3 different styles with different moods. It's all wonderfully striking and distinct and completely different than anything else we've seen before in this series, or really in any Batman book on the shelf right now. It's so damn good, I just wish the story was able to meet the art at its level on this one. In fact, I'm so conflicted I almost feel like I need to give 2 completely different scores for this one. The story only gets a 5, but the art alone should get at least an 8, hell, probably even a little bit more. It's also a great reminder too that just when I'm about to dump this book, just when I think I'm done with it, it pulls out an amazing trump card like this, and suddenly I am more interested and more willing to pick up the next issue. I really hope this one can miraculously find a way to tie all these loose ends together and actually have a satisfying conclusion. But even if they can't, here's hoping that in the next arc they continue to do stuff as interesting and creative as this issue did. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.